just get into language. So this last Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad, that means one. Like the Lord is one. And so we can see in Echad the Sanskrit word Eka means one. So linguistic similarity. And then Shema means hear, Shravanam. So it's basically an injunction, a directive. Start with hearing. Hear about God. So it's Shravanam process. Okay, it's so. Yesterday at Prabhupada House, we read. We studied a few things from Srila Prabhupada. One that seemed to be like a real popular hit was the Swami Jesus letter. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to read it again. It seemed so popular. So this is letter to Sally Agarwal, November 19th, 1965. So it's maybe 2 or 3 weeks after Prabhupada left Butler. Now he's in probably upper east side of New York or upper west side of New York, staying with Yogi Mishra. And so Prabhupada writes to Sally, I beg to thank you for your kind letter of the 16th instant, and I have noted the contents carefully. I am glad to learn that you had been to your parents' house for a few days and now you have returned home. I am still more glad to learn that you are going to observe the 3rd birthday of Miss Kamala Agarwal on Saturday next. On this occasion, I should have prepared her some ornaments, but as I am a sannyasi, I simply offer my blessings for her long life and good prosperity. She cannot now read, otherwise at least I should have presented her a set of my books, but you set aside one set of my books for her future reading when she will grow up a beautiful and educated girl with full God consciousness. I am obliged to your good daughter for awarding me a good degree as Swami Jesus, which is actually a great honor for me. And Prabhupada goes on that letter about he's really honored that if he can follow in the footsteps of Jesus, then he speaks how God speaks through the innocent child, and your daughter understands my mission by calling me Swami Jesus. Prabhupada would be in the home. Kamala was like 2 years old, and she just started referring to, you're Swami Jesus, like that. Okay, and so, Hare Krishna, Anasuya, welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yesterday morning, we read from Bhagavatam 117.22. It's kind of a well-known section of the Bhagavatam about the bull. And the bull is this deep realization of what it means to be willing to be responsible for everything. That one who identifies the perpetrator is the perpetrator, and then in the purport, Srila Prabhupada references Jesus as the ideal example of one who, whatever pain and suffering is inflicted and violence is inflicted, then he simply he doesn't get angry for himself. Jesus certainly sometimes got angry on behalf of truth and God, but he just continues. He just continues to serve God. Forgive them, they know not what they do. So Prabhupada so he's just citing Jesus as the prime example of that profound Vaishnava principle. And so I'll just read a bit from Bhagavatam. And this is from Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 6. The verse reads, a pure devotee of the Lord whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, one who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart, but a perfectly cleansed person never quits the devotional service of the Lord. In discharging such devotional service as ordered by Brahmaji to Narada in the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes a representative of the Lord engaged in preaching work meets various so-called difficulties. So-called difficulties, meaning if our heart is in the right place, as you emphasized this morning on Nandini Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhaktirat Hokshaji, Ahe Tukya Pratyata Yayat Masu Prasidati. If all we want is devotional service to God, nothing material can get in the way, then there's no real difficulties, and even the apparent difficulties and disturbances simply become impetus for deeper inspiration to serve Krishna. And then everything's joyful, even, this can seem outrageous, but even being crucified. And so Prabhupada cites here Jesus as the prime example of this ahitukya pratyata mentality. So-called difficulties. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivered the two fallen souls, Jagai and Madai. And similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by the non-believers. But such difficulties are very gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. Prahlad Maharaj suffered greatly, but still he never forgot the lotus feet of the Lord. This is because a pure devotee of the Lord is so purified in his heart that he cannot leave the shelter of Lord Krishna in any circumstances. There is no self-interest in such service. The progress of culturing knowledge by the jnanis or the bodily gymnastics by the yogis are ultimately given up by the respective performers. But a devotee of the Lord cannot give up the service of the Lord, for he is ordered by his spiritual master. Pure devotees like Narada and Nityananda Prabhu take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. They do not mind what becomes of the future of their lives. They take the matter very seriously, as the order comes from the highest authority, from the representative of the Lord or from the Lord himself. The example set herein is very appropriate. A traveler leaves home to search for wealth in far distant places, sometimes in the forest and sometimes on the ocean and sometimes on hilltops. Certainly there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places, but all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered, and as soon as he returns home he forgets all such troubles on the way. A pure devotee of the Lord is exactly in a family tie with the Lord, and therefore he is undeterred in discharging his duty in a full affectionate tie with the Lord. So this God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, it's like coming home. And whatever might be happening externally, Prabhupada says, this was exhibited by Lord Nityananda. Prabhupada's referring to the pastime where Jagai and Madai, two rogues and violent criminals, one of them actually threw a rock at Lord Nityananda, and he was bleeding. Quite a pastime. And Nityananda just begged Lord Chaitanya to not seek retribution against them, because Lord Nityananda was outraged that they would treat such a wonderful soul as Lord Nityananda in that way. So Lord Nityananda, he manifested his Krishna Vishnu disc. And then Lord Nityananda was at his feet saying, remember, in this pastime, your mission, in this mission, you don't kill demons. This isn't the Krishna mission.
He was a souffleur. In the theater, there's the person who knows the script.
Yeah, he knew the script. Yeah,
he was.
Lord Chaitanya was forgetting the script. You don't kill the demons. You kill the demoniac mentality in the heart. And then Lord Chaitanya was like, okay, I'll consider that. And, okay, well, for now I'll read one more excerpt from Srila Prabhupada. Okay, what do we have here? So, this is... okay. All right. So this is Canto 4, Chapter 11, Text 32. The text reads, "A person who desires liberation from this material world should not fall under the control of anger, because when bewildered by anger, one becomes a source of dread for all others." Srila Prabhupada's purport: a devotee or saintly person should not be dreadful to others, nor should anyone be a source of dread to him. If one treats others with non-enmity, then no one will become his enemy. There is the example, however, of Jesus Christ, who had enemies, and they crucified him. The demonic are always present, and they find fault even in saintly persons. But a saintly person never becomes angry, even if there is very great provocation. So Prabhupada's referencing Jesus there. Some interesting principles, which maybe, I think after this our reading will go to the words of Jesus and the pastimes of Jesus in a direct way. This is my one-volume edition of Bhagavatam. You can see I've used it for years. I think I got it in 1990 or something. I think I was traveling from Israel to America, and I made a stop in England, and at Bhaktivedanta Matter at the bookstore, they had this. I got it. So for like 2 or 3 years, it's been in this condition, and I can't find another. Like, it doesn't exist. So, at least as far as I can, my internet capacities hasn't found it. Okay, so if you could find it, doesn't need to be a gift. I'm willing to pay, but I really haven't found it. I'd love it, but otherwise I'm still using it because I really make use of a one-volume Bhagavatam. Because you see, like I had like 6 or 7 references, so I could come with 6 or 7 volumes, but the one volume just doesn't have a spine. Yeah. So so devotee never gets angry. So that gets into like material anger and spiritual anger. Material anger and spiritual anger. Just earlier today, while I was preparing salad to offer to Jesus and Prabhupada and Krishna, Bhakti Rose and I were having a discussion because I was singing the 6 Goswami song. So one line there. Krishna Kirtana Gananartana Paral Primam Ritambo Nidi Dhira Dhira Janapriyo Priyakaral Yamat Saral Pujital Sri Chaitanya Kripa Baral Bhuvi Bhuval Bhaval Vibhava Hantara Kalvande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugal Sri Jiva Gopala Kal. So that line, Dhira, Dhira, Jadam, Pya Pya Karal, Nimatsaral, Pujital. Dhira means the sober, the gentle, the gentlemen, the gentlewomen. And Adhira means the ruffians and low-class people and people who just quarrel and petty over nothing and have life-alienating, degraded habits and like that sector of society. So to describe the 6 Goswamis, they were dear to everyone. They were dear to the Dhira and the Adhira. So they were dear to everyone by their behavior. Because it's like everyone can see, they just have like no overt or subtle desire to exploit anyone. They're just complete givers in the highest sense. So they're just very, very dear to everyone. Okay. All right. And then we have we have Jesus is the same qualities as the 6 Goswamis, and Prabhupada said, so he's that same quality, and he got crucified. Prabhupada's the same quality. He was administered poison with homicidal intent. So Prahlad Maharaj is the same quality. He was tortured by his dad. Haridas Thakur, same quality. He was beaten in 22 marketplaces, which means the governor had his henchmen take him in the middle of a square and beat him, and then drag him to the next marketplace, maybe half a mile away, and beat him 22 the idea is to kill him. Because Haridas Thakur, due to his devotional absorption, he could leave his body at will, just like Bhishma Dev, or Bhishma Dev was filled with arrows, but he left his body at will. So at some point, the beaters, the henchmen, they were getting frustrated and scared. It's like, he's not dying. Our role is to kill him. So Haridas, in a very Jesus-like way, Haridas Thakur could say, I could see you're kind of upset and disturbed. How can I serve you? And I'm like kind of making light of it, but this is like an inconceivable consciousness. Haridas Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, Jesus, Bhishma Dev. So they said, like, well, we want you to die. If you don't die, we'll get in big trouble. So Haridas goes, okay. So he went into a death samadhi, where from any external perception it would look like he's dead. And so I'll do that. You throw me in the Ganges and say you killed me. So this is consciousness. At least speaking for myself, we can only have awe and admiration for such detachment from miracles. It's a miracle. It's not like that. Okay. So that we want to endeavor to cultivate that Dhira, the six Goswami quality, the Jesus quality, such that we're truly a well-wisher of everyone, however they regard us. Okay, and so that's true. We want to cultivate that. And if we see that people are inimical to us, and they're hostile, and they're insulting us or treating us badly, we're being dishonored like that, it's practically always, it's like a humbly healthy consciousness to cultivate, to look at myself. Okay, but what is it about me that's like the consciousness of the bull that we read about yesterday? What is it about me that's attracted that? Okay, and that goes along with assertiveness and like that. What is it about me that's attracted that? Where am I impure? Where are the critics? Where are they right? How can I improve? And like that. At the same time, we look at where is such a pure devotee like Jesus, Srila Prabhupada, Haridas Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they'll never get angry for material ego concerns, and they act in a way that's dear to everyone. At the same time, a fact of the material context is, if one, like even those who are completely pure, Jesus, Srila Prabhupada, if one stands for truth, the difference between the soul and the body, and habits that are going to support realization, pure love for God, and then there's going to be some sector who will feel threatened and who will react violently, because like this threatens entire foundations of my material illusions and my material life. So that's part of the context too. And then in standing for truth, well, in standing for truth, then such a pure devotee, whether Jesus or Srila Prabhupada, they might sometimes use anger. Anger is a terrible master, and it's a very useful servant when we actually use it in service to self-realization and God. And so when we see, because in the purports we just read from Srila Prabhupada from Bhagavatam, also a devotee is always shanti. There's so many examples. Jesus getting not just angry, like rageful. Same with Srila Prabhupada. There are examples of that. And then it's vital for our understanding and our purification of heart, to distinguish. It's not like my material anger because I feel my ego is insulted, or I wanted sense gratification, and you're interfering with the gratification of my senses, gross and subtle, so you're my enemy, so I'm going to get angry with you. No, this is anger in service to the highest goals of human life, of spiritual life. So, there's, those who've studied Prabhupada at all, we know that, like, there are certain statements, whether in the books or the lectures or letters, that are kind of like, oh, these are really disturbing. These are really controversial. These are really uncomfortable statements. And, just not, I have read from Genesis to Revelation. And again, as related to what I started, like I would have no, if it weren't for Srila Prabhupada, I'd have no inspiration to read all of Jesus's words like that, to read, the Bible cover to cover. I read parts of the Old Testament, nothing from the New Testament, till I came to Prabhupada. Then I had inspiration. Oh, I want to read this. Not that I know it so well, but for sure, I feel confident to say this. Like, it's more difficult and challenging to avoid such uncomfortable, agitating, disturbing, really politically incorrect statements with Jesus's words than in Prabhupada's. And I'm saying it because the general, like, Jesus is all about turn the other cheek, and we can find that. But he's like, it's just like all over the place. Really, really heavy, disturbing statements. And so, whether it's from Jesus or Srila Prabhupada, the purpose is not to disturb. Yeah, the purpose is to disturb material illusion, to help everyone wake up to the original, to our original Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Saja Kapunai Shavanadi Shuddha Chete Karye Udai, to wake up to their original consciousness. We got many visitors, a few visitors from New Zealand, Bhakti Marg, Atmananda, Mayatma Prabhu is Anasuya there, and Turkey Creek, I believe, an even more exotic place than New Zealand. Okay, so, to disturb our survival strategies, to disturb our attachment to material society, friendship, and love. And it's always coming from love. And so Prabhupada encourages anusarana, follow the principle, and discourages anukarana, not to blindly imitate the detail. So we want to follow that spirit at the same time. Like if I'm in a given situation, if I'm as bold as Prabhupada, and then people wouldn't take offense to Prabhupada, even they might not agree, or they might feel shocked, but because I get he's coming from such a pure place. So I don't want to imitate Prabhupada, but to follow the principle, to be willing to dedicate my life to Prabhupada. Follow the principle of Prabhupada, the principle of Jesus, be willing to dedicate my life to serve truth, to serve God consciousness, and to disrupt thinking, first my own, and to support others in facilitating self-realization, to break through material illusions and attachment. Well, there's attachment to society, friendship, love, profit, adoration, distinction. There's a quote from an author named Thomas Wolfe. Actually, at least one of his books I have on the shelf in the guest room in the corner. It's called A Bonfire of the Vanities. He wrote many famous books. And I'm not saying he's particularly God-centered. I don't know him personally. And as far as I know, he's not a blood relative, but his name's Thomas Wolfe. And he said, you have reached the pinnacle of success as soon as you are uninterested in compliments, popularity, and money. So that's Jesus. Like he's not like, oh, I'll go into where there's all this corruption in the temple, but I still want people to like me. That's really important. I'm here for truth in a loving way, in a loving, uncompromised way. Compliments, popularity, and money. That's the pinnacle of success as soon as we're uninterested. Now, such an uninterested person might find that they're very popular, and they might find that they're vilified and very unpopular. Popularity and adoration might come their way, and vilification and condemnation might come their way. Whatever. Happiness and distress will come and go on all platforms. Physical, mental, reputation. Let me continue with enthusiasm to serve God. So I thought to, all right. So this is, let's see where we go with this. And, all right. Like even I saw like what's called the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes, the Sermon on the Mount. It's in the area of the Galilee. For me, it's like it's an affectionate connection with all these places. Yes, that I mentioned Nazareth, because Anasuya at Mangalarti yesterday read some excerpt about when Mary got the announcement from the angel Gabriel that she's the mother of Jesus, the mother of God, of Yeshua. And so there, at that place where Mary received that announcement, there's what's called the Church of the Annunciation, the Church of the Announcement. I think it's the biggest church in Nazareth. So we used to chant japa there when we would stay in Nazareth, and we would stay maybe half a mile away, a short walk it was a convent monastery of Italian sisters, and we would do Mangalarti in the church. And in Nazareth, the nuns would join us in Harinam Sankirtan. So this is in Galilee. So even in the Sermon on the Mount, we're just like, that the meek shall inherit the earth. But there's like really, really heavy, uncomfortable statements. So, okay, so what I'm reading here, this is Matthew chapter 10, and I'll start from the beginning of book 10. Let's see where we go. He called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. So again, authority. He empowered them. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, who is called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. Who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions. Do not go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. So Jesus is preaching only to Jews. Only.
The lost sheep.
Yes, the lost sheep.
Lost sheep.
The lost sheep. Yeah. That whole sheep, lamb imagery is quite common through the Bible. Jesus himself is referred to as like the sacrificial lamb, the ideal sacrificial lamb. Of course, there's the famous picture of Jesus holding a lamb, a sharing strategy I often use over the decades. For those who are identify as followers of Jesus, and they're involved in meat eating and like that. So we just go, okay. So there's this. I remember Some of you know some of my history. Back 94, 95, I was employed by the state of Florida I was a foster care, children family counselor for the Department of Foster Care. And I had one colleague, very nice lady. I mean, at that time I was in my early 30s, she was maybe in her early 40s. Very nice lady, and we had discussion around this topic. And so I said, okay, so you know the picture with Jesus and the lamb. Okay. So I said, to me it's obvious. To me it's obvious.
Did you laugh like this?
No, just with you. I think I kept a straight face. To me it's obvious Jesus is going to that rock over there to bash the lamb's brains out because he wants lamb chops. It's obvious. You can see the look on his face. So he's like, what? So I said, well, you're disgusted, you're repulsed. Like, how could David Wolf even say that? But then, how come you're bashing the lamb's brains out? Fun. Okay. And I think it impacted her. So I've used that a lot, and I get theatrical. So yes.
Did she like you after that?
Popularity.
I think actually her respect for me increased. Because, I mean, I could use that same thing with someone else and then they reject me and condemn me, but I think we had a relationship she was ready to handle. That's my belief. Okay. So Jesus preached only to Jews. That's just, he didn't. It was like his followers who went to Greece and Rome and Syria and things like that. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. As you go, preach this message: the kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely you have received, freely give. Do not take along any gold or silver or copper in your belts. Take no bag for the journey, or extra tunic, or sandals, or a staff, for the worker is worth his keep. So it's just complete sannyas. There's so many pastimes that reminds me of. I'm not intending to go on too much of a tangent, but they're relative tangents. When Sanatana Goswami, he bribed the jailkeeper to get out of prison, and he had his assistant Ishan and Sanatana Goswami. They were at some inn, and Sanatana Goswami could see that the innkeeper was treating him really, really nice, really friendly and really nice. And Sanatana Goswami, he was a diplomat, he was a politician, psychologist, very bright. So what's up here? So he confronted the innkeeper, like, you're treating us really nice, what's going on? Like, for business, you treat a little nice. So the innkeeper said, well, I have an astrologer who could see that you're carrying some 7 gold coins, and tonight I was planning to kill you to steal the gold. Just because in Sanatana Goswami's presence, he just couldn't lie. So maybe I'm getting the numbers a bit, but then, so then Sanatana Goswami's servant, Ishan, he gave 6 gold coins, thinking that Sanatana Goswami wouldn't notice, but he said, Ishan, you just keep 1 gold coin, that's going to destroy. So he was committed so that's like the true sannyas mentality. It doesn't necessarily mean someone doesn't have a bank account or own houses, but it means they've completely given up the enjoying spirit. So like Jesus is just requiring, like, no, these are the ground rules. Just like you don't even take an extra set of clothes. You just complete commitment. You're just trusting. Itam sa astaya paratmanishtam adyatmasita tama puver. That's the same when Prabhupada would give sannyas. That's the sannyas mantra. It's in the Lord Chaitanya would quote it when he was traveling around India. He would quote that sannyas aham turishyasi dhirattaparam tamo mukundan gri nishevayeva. And so just completely trusting the super soul. It's like, well, I need to just keep some savings. And so these are like heavy ground rules. These are like you're following me. You're the core of this mission. Heavy ground rules. No sandals or no extra tunic. Whatever town or village you enter, search for some worthy person there and stay at his house until you leave. As you enter the home, give it your greeting. If the home is deserving, let your peace rest on it. If it is not, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake the dust off your feet when you leave that home or town. I tell you the truth, it will be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. Mm-hmm. So Sodom and Gomorrah is like the most sinful towns. And he's saying, like, if a town does not accept my true followers, then they're like in worse shape than Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's quite, just like Prabhupada will often say, a devotee is ready to be soft as a rose and hard as a thunderbolt, ready to shift his energy on a dime. So this is something. Be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. That's making an impact on me. Okay? Because sometimes we can overemphasize, okay, I'll be cynical and I won't trust anyone, and be closed-hearted. But no, be as innocent as doves, as shrewd as snakes simultaneously. That's that growth edge, spiritual consciousness, special. Okay. Be on your guard against men. They will hand you over to the local councils and flog you in their synagogues. So again, they're just going to Jewish towns, so it's synagogues. So like Jesus saying, just like, you follow Jesus. And you say, you're going to get flogged, you're going to get beaten. Like, he's not messing around. He's not messing around. So I can put my, like, I'm not near there. I'm not near that consciousness. But this is the standard. This to be willing for that. Flog you in their synagogues. On my account, you will be brought before governors and kings as witnesses to them and to the Gentiles. But when they arrest you, do not worry about what to say or how to say it. At that time, you will be given what to say, for it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Just like, don't take any stocks of food or any extra clothes, just trust. Similarly, it's like, well, what do I say? What do I say? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pridipurvakam danabi bhumvidi yogam tam yenamam apyante. He's saying this. You just be sincere, and God will give you the intelligence of what to say. Okay, so he's having a staff meeting before they go out into the world. The Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. All men will hate you because of me, but he who stands firm to the end will be saved. When you are persecuted in one place, flee to another. I tell you the truth, you will not finish going through the cities of Israel before the Son of Man comes. A student is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the student to be like his teacher and the servant like his master. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebub, how much more the members of his household? Beelzebub is the name of the devil, as far as I understand. It's the name of the devil, yeah. Beelzebub, yeah. In the novel, the Lord of the Flies, which in my opinion is a great book. The boys, they start constructing kind of an idol, and they name the idol Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies. So do not be afraid of them. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roofs. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from the will of your Father. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid, you are worth more than many sparrows. Whoever acknowledges me before men, I will also acknowledge him before my Father in heaven. But whoever disowns me before men, I will disown him before my Father in heaven. Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. We'll read that one again.
The Prince of Peace.
That's right. Well, there's truth to that, and then and he says this at other times. That's what I'm saying, like really disturbing, controversial, uncomfortable comments. It's harder to avoid them in the words of Jesus than in the words of Prabhupada. That's from what I've experienced. Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to turn a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household. It gets heavier. Hare Krishna. It gets heavy. It really does. It really does. And so he is the Prince of Peace, as is Srila Prabhupada. And truth is threatening to the extent that we're invested in untruth and falsity and deception and concealment. And Jesus is just unwaveringly standing for truth. He is loving everyone, even on the crucifixion, experiencing, of course, as we just read from Srila Prabhupada a few minutes ago, he's actually experiencing bliss and love and service to God. But it's all from another, it's a pain I can't conceive. He says, oh, please forgive them. So he is loving everyone. And loving doesn't mean that I'm going to support your deceptions and support you in your misleading, misinforming, and misguiding others about who they are and what's the ultimate goal of life. That's not love. That's not friendship. That's being enemies while smiling at each other. So Jesus, Prabhupada, they're not willing to do that. And then, of course, the material world, everyone, means we're all absorbed in illusion and delusion, that's all there. And at the same time, when encountering the truth, encountering a pure devotee who's standing for truth, then, let me at least be open to this. Let me at least connect with some sincerity. At the same time, the context here, it's just like, okay, so like Jesus or Prabhupada, or Haridas Thakur, Dhira, Jana, Priya Karao, Nirmatsarao, Pujitao, their qualities are such that they ought to be dear to everyone. But then there's going to be some element where it's just like, I am invested in this materialistic status quo based on deception and based on egotism and to the extent where, a completely Jesus-like figure like Prahlad Maharaj, he was intolerable. He was just standing for truth, innocent child. It was intolerable to his father. Tortured him, tried to kill him, tortured him. So that's, so like, I know myself, when I took some stand in just a minuscule way, like, I'm going to practice this Krishna consciousness. My parents violently kidnapped me. I was not physically injured, and they were not violent, but they hired thugs. So it's like, no, it's like, so this is, in a sense, even if we are pure, And of course, we don't want to assume that we are Jesus-like in our purity. We always want to look at, where is the self-deception in myself, and where is the dirt on the diamond and the vicious qualities of myself. But even if we were pure, like that, then is standing for truth is it's going to be polarizing. There's some who will just be so inspired, and there'll be some, and we can see that in a large part, when you say most part, Jesus' main violent opposition was from the religious community. It's very important to know. The Pharisees and the Sadducees and like that. Okay. It was from the demon atheists. No, it was from those who followed the Old Testament, missing the forest for the trees. I mean, they followed because the 10 Commandments. There's 613 commandments. Okay, and they were good at following. My understanding is only 413 are meant to be followed till the resurrection of the next temple till the Messiah comes, something like that. But not just 10. So his most violent opposition really wasn't from the Romans or the Gentiles or like that. It was from the religious community. It's very important to know. Very important. Yeah. Because Bhagavatam, right at the start, Dharma Pojita Kortavachar Parmonima Tsaranam Satam Vejam Vastavam Achavastu Shivadam Tapo Shayo Muvlanam Srimad Bhagavate Mamuna Krite Kimva Per Ishvar Sadya Vija Vajujate Shakriti Vishushushabis Takshana. Bhagavatam starts completely rejecting all religious activities that are materially motivated. This Bhagavatam propounds the highest truth, which is understood by those devotees who are completely pure in heart, who are thoroughly honest, thoroughly non-envious, which means there are devotees who are not free from envy, who are not thoroughly honest. And it means what Bhagavatam is saying, most of religion, whether in the Vedic age or in the Middle East 2,000 years ago, most of religion is materially motivated. And so through being religious, there's a lot of potential for popularity, compliments, and money. And that was going on. Lots of potential for being seen as a religious person. And Jesus calls it out. He confronts that. And that led to the crucifixion. And that led to the crucifixion. And the turning in the tables, he was calling out the hypocrisy in the name of religion. My take on it related to Jesus and the Lamb. It wasn't primarily about the money. It was primarily about turning the synagogue, to turning the temple of David and Solomon, into a slaughterhouse. And there was just rivers of blood. Okay? Yes. It's so we can now, the good news, both of my parents were absorbed in chanting Hare Krishna when they left their body about a quarter century after the kidnapping, and like that, like that. And that's it. So it's it's not about pointing the finger at those who are reactive, but about our opportunity for our purification, and where do I need to go in myself to be a more pure stand for the truth given by Jesus and Srila Prabhupada. And but so Jesus, he's telling these disciples, you give up everything. Not that to be some sort of follower you have to give up everything, but you want to be core to this mission, you need to be willing to do that. You need to be willing to do that. Heavy. Okay, and if you do give up everything, then life will be a picnic. No, then you'll get flogged. You'll get condemned. You can expect it. This is just as it is.
There's another part that I read this morning, and the bookmark is in it somewhere, where Jesus speaks like this to his disciples, and he says, and when you are condemned, it's a good thing.
Okay.
It's a good thing, because then it means they are with Jesus. They are speaking the truth.
Yeah.
And the society is not, the world is not made.
Yeah.
Not that they want this.
Yeah, that if you're somehow inspiring or invoking condemnation, it means you're standing boldly for truth, because the world is based on untruth. So that's actually a good sign.
Yeah, and when I read that, I felt Jesus' protection and giving shelter in that, like encouraging. The words sound very heavy, and yet it's an encouraging, protective, sheltering energy he's coming from.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that. Yes, Srila Prabhupada makes similar statements that that if your presence in your Harinam Sankirtan and your book distribution and your classes, if it's provoking some hostile reaction, that means like you're bold, you're standing strong for the mission, for the Sankirtan mission. Now that doesn't mean don't look at ourselves and how can we be more Jesus-like and more pure. Let's always do that. At the same time, as we say, even those who are completely pure, they get crucified, they get poisoned, they get beaten in 22 marketplaces like that. Not that we want to set ourselves up for that, but it's a mentality, it's a consciousness. It's a consciousness. To the extent we're sincere, that at least we, maybe we make 0.5% of progress towards at least appreciating that consciousness, according to our sincerity, without, playing great martyr like I'm Jesus or something like that. Hare Krishna. Well, okay, in the next part, Jesus said, anyone who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves his son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And anyone who does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. He who receives you receives me, and he who receives me receives the one who sent me. Anyone who receives a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and anyone who receives a righteous man because he is a righteous man will receive a righteous man's reward. And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones because he is my disciple, I tell you the truth, he will certainly not lose his reward. Hare Krishna. Well, okay, so that part, which can be seen as, remember this was, okay, I know he loves his mother. Yes, again, this is, like when Jesus says, V'hafta, the Old Testament, Jesus said the most important instruction, V'hafta et Adonai Elahech b'kol lebavta b'kol nafshecha b'kol motecha b'hu ha'dibrim ha'ele asher anochi matzavka hayom alev avecha. Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might. So how much do we actually mean that? It means like that, God's the center. I'm remembering, oh gosh, maybe I was like 12 years old, and I read a lot of sports biographies. Okay, I read a lot of sports biographies. I was like following sports. I learned math by following sports statistics. I mean, I got good in math. It's true. And so I remember it was a football player who had died of cancer. And I'm telling this for a reason. And so the title of the biography, I'm sure it could still be found on the internet. The title of the biography was, I Am Third. So somehow that biography, which I can't believe I remember, I read it 53 years ago. Maybe I was 10, but let's say I was 12. It's called I Am Third. So that struck me here. So, because basically after he died, he had other football player friends and his family members. What they remembered about him and their eulogy was, for him, God was first. Yeah, God was first. Family was second. And he personally was third. So it's football by eye, but it's very deep actually. And they say he actually lived as that way. God was first. So that's what Jesus is saying. Like if you're serious about this, so he's talking like to those who are meant to be dedicated disciples. So I am third. So I remember that biography. Hare Krishna. I thought I'll read from a different part from the same book of Matthew. This is the beginning of the Beatitudes there in the Galilee region. I mentioned to some of you, the main prophet for the Jews is named Yitro, who was the father-in-law of Moses, also known. So in English it's Jethro. In the actual Hebrew it's Yithro. And the Jews call him Nabi Shwaib. That's what the Arabic. Nabi means prophet, Shwaib. Anyhow, his Samadhi tomb, he's buried at a place near Tiberias. And it's a beautiful place. It's not like probably not even in the top 20 places to visit in Israel tourist guides, but I highly recommend. Very spiritually charged place. But this, where Jesus spoke, this is near there. So now when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him and he began to teach them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me." Kind of what so from your sharing, Anandini, that you were encouraged by that. And that's what he's saying. Like, so that's a good thing. You're blessed. You're blessed for that. "Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." I'm skipping a bit here, but still the same Sermon on the Mount. "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law of the prophets." I'll say that again. "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law of the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. I tell you the truth, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Anyone who breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven, but whoever practices and teaches these commandments will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you that unless your righteousness surpasses that of the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, you will certainly not enter the kingdom of heaven." All right, so what's something happening for me here? So the Pharisees and Sadducees, these are like the leaders of the Jewish rabbis, like that. And so Jesus does a lot of criticism of them. It leads to crucifixion. He does a lot of criticism for what I'll call in Sanskrit niyamagraha. Niyamagraha has two meanings, and they're both unfavorable for advancement in purification, self-realization, and developing enthusiasm to serve God with love. So one meaning of niyamagraha is to neglect rules and regulations that can really help. The other meaning of niyamagraha is to blindly follow rules and regulations, not seeing. So the Pharisees and Sadducees, and probably they have their tefillin, and we shared a little earlier tonight, because it says in the Vahafta, they benaim, it says, and mark this love of God on your forehead, like that. So the Jews interpreted it as they wrap some leather thing. Maybe you've seen the leather box. I don't know if no one's ever wrapped tefillin. You've seen it?
No, we've seen it, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so, and they wrap one on their arm and one on their head, and that's the way I interpret commandments. Also, the commandment that says, I'm sure you've seen the Hasid Jews with the payas, the long cyber, dressed in black and like that. The commandment, there's a commandment. What the commandment actually says, again, there's 613 commandments, not just 10. What the commandment actually says is do not shave the pinah of the head. Pinah means corner in the singular. Plural would be pinot. So somehow, they don't shave the corners of their head, but the Hebrew actually says don't shave the pinah, the corner. So what would be the singular corner of the head? Sika, there you go. Lots of cool stuff like that when you get into the language. So, okay. So, the
Not possible.
You're saying it wouldn't matter.
Yes.
You're saying it wouldn't matter. I relate. Okay, so I got one of those things too. Okay, so Jesus was criticizing the Pharisees and the Sadducees rightly for being niyamagraha. They follow so many rules and regulations, but they're missing the heart. They're missing the essence of the love, and they're arrogant and needing to feel superior, and they want to be recognized. Look how many rules I follow. I'm so religious. I mean, I'm not mocking them. I'm really just representing Jesus. There's a lot of that. Okay. But now, so you say, oh yeah, so we don't need to follow all the rules and regulations. Let's just love God. He's saying, no, you should be more rigorous than the Pharisees. That's what he's saying. You should be more rigorous and with heart and with soul and get the essence and do it consciously and presently, not for external superficial motives of profit, adoration, distinction, popularity, compliments, like that. So, so he's cautioning against niyamagraha both ways. Yeah, don't just follow like these top rabbis externally and miss the essence, but don't neglect the rules and regulations from the prophets, from the Old Testament. Follow them with presence, with consciousness. Okay. So, obviously, there's so many places we can go, but I'll just pause there if anyone wants to share anything, comment anything at this time.
Yes, thank you very much for your sharing, for your huge wisdom, and what was touching. I think two things I would like to share. One is this, what Jesus said, and you shared with the first, second, and third place.
Yeah.
So, and Jesus said quite strongly that. I don't remember the exact word, that when you are attached with your family, you are not worth to follow me, something like that.
Yeah.
And somehow it sounds very rude or
it's harsh.
Harsh,
it's
yes.
Harsh, yeah.
And at the same time, so my experience is to put God in the front of everything. That's the reason how I can really love my family. It's not a loss. It's the opposite.
It adds to the love of the family.
It adds. It allows me to really love. Yes, and yes, about love. The letter from Srila Prabhupada to Sally Agarwal.
Yeah,
that's so sweet. I realized how much he cared about this little girl, and he mentioned about education.
Yeah,
that's the thing about little girl, and he is concerned, about
he's concerned.
the education of a woman, and so that's something that very sweet and shows this love and care from Srila Prabhupada.
I appreciate those two highlights that you mentioned. Thank you, Paramatma Prabhu. Yeah, I mean, there's a purport in Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada said, yeah, the spouse and the children, the family, they're natural objects of affection. They're natural objects of affection. And so the encouragement, put Krishna in the center. Put Krishna in the center. And then that affection becomes real, substantial, and meaningful, because then everyone in the family is supporting each other to the real joy and bliss. Otherwise the affection's just a shadow. So, yeah, putting God in the center, then that naturally enhances the love. Enhances the love. Thanks for that point. Also, yeah, he was concerned about little Kamala Agarwal's education. Thanks for noting that. I appreciate your comments.
I'm reminded of Queen Kunti's prayer that the ties to her
severed the tie of affection. Yeah.
Yes, so that she can truly love her family members.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate this class. For me, Christmas could continue for another few days.
Yeah, we could extend the Christmas special programs. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm inspired because there's a shift for me in this, the heavy statements of Jesus.
Yeah.
Like this time, I'm experiencing, well, like I shared, the shelter he's giving.
Yeah.
And the loving guidance he's giving. Some consolement or solace in these words, these warnings, like this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And so much trust in that he's sharing all of this. And I'm reading a book by Richard Rohr. It's his last book, well, his latest book.
Yeah.
And it's called The Tears of Things.
The Tears of Things.
The Tears of Things.
Okay.
And it's about the prophets. So he studied all the prophets, and he noticed the pattern that the prophets in their biography, they get at one point they get very angry about society and about injustice, and then they experience a transformation. They move beyond the anger and they come to the grief.
To the grief, to sadness. Well,
yes, the sadness of what they see, all the suffering that they see, and then it transforms into compassion.
Well, from anger to grief to good, it's like a process.
Yes.
And that's a consistent process. That's very interesting for me.
Yeah, and it's something I can relate to. I wish I'd be more angry about injustice and deception.
Yeah.
And I know that when I do connect with anger, I come to grief.
Yeah.
And grief is like the door to compassion and to love and to softness. And this came to me as you were sharing what Srila Prabhupada says to his disciples and what Lord Jesus Christ said. Yeah, and what they are actually also showing, that there's an energy of anger that is really empowering and really important. And it doesn't stay with anger, it goes to the grief, to the softness in the heart and the compassion. And then that's where the action comes from.
Well, I'm moved by that. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, and that's kind of like, if we're not feeling justified righteous anger, then it probably means we're numb to spiritual sensitivity.
Yes.
We're just going along to get along. We got our looking good strategies. We got our status quo. We got our society, friendship, and love. So don't disturb me. Don't disturb me, and we won't let it in. And so there's justified natural spiritual anger, and so he's saying that's a pattern in all the prophets. That's very special. I'm interested in that book.
Yeah, no, so anger doesn't mean just wild rage.
Yeah.
It's like a powerful energy.
Yes.
Like a strength.
Yeah. Yeah, to protect something dear, to really make a point with impact. Yeah, otherwise it can be a righteous rage, and it can be more about look at me, I'm a social activist, like that, but it's very ego-centered. Thanks for sharing. Anything else at this time? Atmananda Prabhu.
No, I'm just very appreciative.
Okay.
My sound hasn't been very good, so I haven't heard very much, but I'm greatly appreciating how you're making it very clear, especially with reading the Bible, how what Jesus was doing and teaching and being is non-different from what Prabhupada does, although the circumstance is very different. And he did say there are many things I could tell you, because people often say, "Oh, Jesus didn't talk about Krishna." Anything that apparently what the Vedas say, but if we go deeper, as you're doing today on the celebrating the appearance of Lord Jesus, makes it very clear that that's not valid. It's all there in his teachings, even though the externals appear to be completely different.
Thanks for sharing, including referencing Jesus' statement, "There's much more I have to tell you. You're not able to bear that." And Jesus, in that section, like the next sentence, he says, "And someone will come who will give the complete picture." Now, it's not like I have the authority to say that Jesus was specifically talking about Prabhupada in that verse. I mean, it seems like he was, but it's not for me to say conclusively that. But even if, even apart from, that exact verse, clearly, Srila Prabhupada's completely continuing the mission of Jesus. Jesus says, "There's more I have to tell you. You're not able to bear it right now." Krishna says, "Ginam teham saviginam idam faksham yaseshata yadketva nirbhunyat ketavami vishishite." Now, Arjuna, I'm going to reveal to you all knowledge, all the principles, phenomenal and noumenal. So it's just like it like clearly completes Jesus' teachings. Not that Jesus was incomplete. He had a particular mission. He had a particular mission, and he fulfilled it perfectly according to the group of people he was talking to.
Yes, thank you. And the indication of the quality of sannyas that Jesus was teaching, and you mentioned that would be and is so valuable for any of our sannyasis or anyone who is aspiring to be sannyas, even if it's grihastha brahmachari sannyas mood. There's so much there.
There's so much there.
that we can appreciate and learn from, and maybe more so because of our particular, generally being Christian or Jewish in our upbringing. Maybe we can appreciate it more when we hear like that from the Bible.
Yeah, I'm appreciating it more. What Prabhupada really meant by sannyas, as I know you know the history. And Srila Prabhupada, as years went on, became more and more disgusted about what was going on in the name of sannyas in his movement. And I'm not painting with too broad a brush. I'm not saying there weren't or aren't, good examples, but it was becoming a farce. And then at some point in '77, Prabhupada said, "No more sannyas. It's just too much. You're making a mockery of it." And so just in these past half hour, reading that, hearing you, I'm deepening my appreciation for what sannyas means in what Prabhupada meant by it in the essence.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Bhakti Marg was also listening.
I see Bhakti Marg's icon here.
Yes, I think she's in the kitchen, but she's been very, very appreciative also.
Glad to hear it. Bhakti Marg and Atmananda, thanks for being here. Hare Krishna. Bhakti
Hare
Rosa.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for class. It's very powerful. I'm moved similarly by many of the same things people have shared. I have a question about the portion where Jesus was using like an analogy or a metaphor of the sparrows. I didn't understand what he was saying, and I was wondering if you could explain it to me.
I'd need to go back to it and think about it.
Which we do at Prashad.
Yeah, that could, yeah. So, because I remember reading, but I'm not clear enough on it to give what I would consider a reasonably meaningful response.
Hare Krishna.
But I remember the two sparrows, because, yeah, when I read it, I was like, oh, I was getting something, but I would need to go back. And it's not like Bhagavad Gita, it's like 13.2, I would assume. But I was intrigued by that. And I didn't feel lost or clueless. I had some idea, but I would need to read it again.
I feel similarly. I got a lot of hope from where Jesus was saying, specifically what really hit me was those who desire righteousness, I think, will be filled, or something like that.
Yeah.
That made me emotional. I've got to think about why. And
it touched your emotions. Yeah.
But then when we were talking a little bit later, like there's a difference between self-righteous, right, and what he's talking about. And I'm wanting to kind of dig into meaning of righteousness and where it can become perverted.
Yeah, well, that's the distinction, because sometimes we use self-righteous as like this grungy thing, like self-righteous, and that could become, I'm standing for the right thing, I'm angry about the right things, me, and that's different than humbly, powerfully, boldly standing for what is truly right and good and beautiful and meaningful and eternal. So that's a subtle yet huge distinction. Thanks for that. Hare Krishna. Okay, earlier in our program, about an hour and a half ago, hour 15, Anandini led us in a kirtan, starting with Shema, bridging into Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Shema being, we can imagine, along with the Vyahafta, probably the Mahamantra for Jesus, for the Jews at that time and today. Like in any synagogue service, they're saying those things. And so I'm thinking we can go to a different form of song in kirtan. As you did last night, Anandini, would you like to kind of lead that portion of tonight's program?
Okay, I will get the girls. I need their help.
Sure. So
their voices.
Yeah, and their voices. That's, Thanks for joining us, Noah. Hare Krishna.
So we're going to sing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen first.
You want me to turn it off? You prefer I turn it off? I'll turn it off if you want. You okay?
God rest you, merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. For Jesus Christ our Saviour was born upon this day, to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. O tidings of comfort and joy, from God our Heavenly Father, a blessed angel came, and unto certain shepherds brought tidings of the same, how that in Bethlehem was born the Son of God by name. O tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. O tidings of comfort and joy. Then shepherds at those tidings rejoiced much in mind, and left their flocks a feeding in tempest, storm, and wind, and went to Bethlehem straightway this blessed babe to find. O tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. O tidings of comfort and joy. But when to Bethlehem they came, whereas this infant lay, they found him in a manger where oxen feed on hay. His mother Mary kneeling unto the Lord did pray. O tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. O tidings of comfort and joy. Now to the Lord sing praises, all you within this place, and with true love and brotherhood each other now embrace. This holy tide of Christmas all other doth deface. O tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. O tidings of comfort and joy. Did you hear the organ?
Hare Krishna.
And we will sing Latin now. Gaudete.
Good. Shukran.
Gaudete, gaudete, Christus es natos, ex Maria Virgine gaudete. Tempus ades gratiae quod optabamus, carmina laetitia devotere damus. Gaudete, gaudete, Christus es natos, ex Maria Virgine gaudete. Deus homo factus est natura mirante, mundus renovatus est a Christo regnante. Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natos, ex Maria Virgine gaudete. Exegelis porta, clausa per transitur, unde lux est horta, salus invenitur. Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus, ex Maria Virgine gaudete. Ego nostra cantio, salatiam in lustro, benedicat Domina, salus Regi nostro. Gaudete, gaudete, Christus est natus, ex Maria Virgine gaudete. Rejoice, rejoice, Christ is born of the Virgin Mary. Rejoice.
It is now the time of grace that we have decided. Let us sing songs of joy, let us give devotion.
God was made man, and nature marvelous. The world was renewed by Christ who is King.
The closed gate of Ezekiel has been passed through. From where the light rises, salvation is found.
Therefore let our assembly now sing. Sing the psalms to purify us. Let it praise the Lord. Greetings to our King.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We'll do one more. This is Dona Nobis Pacem. It's a prayer for peace. And we will sing it all together, and then we'll sing it in 2 groups. So let's sing it twice, the whole circle, and then Anuk, do you want to join David and Rosa? So you can sing with them, so you can listen to Anuk, and or do you want to go and help Anuk too?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's this, and then it's us too. Oh, I need the one which has the. Yes. We'll start together, and then Noah and I will start again, and we'll continue to sing. And when you come to the end, you do the first 2 lines again.
First 2 lines means the eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Anasuya. Hare Bo.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. It was beautiful. Dad's listening in the background.
Wonderful. Hare Krishna. Welcome. Hello, Mr. Christofferson. Father of Anasuya. Okay. I want to suggest, before we go to the prasadam part of our program, and we do have some special prasadam.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Good. Hare Krishna, Anasuya. Well, we're going to close with maybe a closing Shema Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Okay.
Kirtan.
Standing and dancing.
Yeah, good.